you stepped down as CEO. What was the one thing that you learned that was differently perceived as an individual contributor versus how you thought you understood it as a leader?
Yeah.
That's a deep question.
I'll give you. I'll give you time.
It is a challenging one. So there's a lot there. First off, I will say, in my opinion, CEO is a terrible, terrible job.
Right.
It is, especially as you scale up, because you get vastly more blame than credit.
Right.
I think if you're a good CEO, you get vastly more blame than credit, because when things goes wrong, your job is to take personal responsibility. And when things go right, your job is to assign that responsibility to the people on the team who did the work.
Because they have to have the lift, right? Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's also I did not find it that tremendously lonely, although I did find it very emotionally challenging. But I do think for many CEOs, it is extremely lonely. They just, you don't have folks that you can confide in.
No, because you're protecting everybody in a way.
Everyone, and I think it's very tough, right? So, as you build friendships with people on the team. So I'm someone who makes friends quickly and becomes, close friends quickly,
right,
with a lot of people. And that included, by the way, for years, all the people on my executive team. And of course, when there's performance issues there, or when there's deep challenges in the company, in your departments, that friendship can help you, but it can also hold you back. And that I think is a really tough thing. I would say, as an individual contributor, a few things hit me early on in my tenure. First off, I realized that I could be fired. Right? So, for the first time in my career, and I've been at Moz basically my entire adult life.
Right.
I mean, I had a couple retail jobs in college, but then worked at the company that became Moz with my mom, and then Moz.
Right.
And so, for 14 years, I never worried about getting fired. I worried about whether the company would survive, but never worried about getting fired. And then, in 2014, I had this realization, God, I'm being an obstinate, curmudgeonly dick, and Sarah could fire me, right?
Right.
She could totally be like, Rand, you know what? This is not working. You need to go.
Oh man.
You got to get out of here. She never has, right? She's always tolerated my
curmudgeonness.
Yeah, awful, emotional. No, I think we should do this, and I'm frustrated about this, and I want to go here. And I think that that fear kind of woke me up to the experience that real people have all the time, right? Because if you're not a founder and CEO of your company, you need to worry about, what is my next thing, and how much money do I have, and how long could I pay the rent for, and what would we do about health insurance, and all this stuff, right? So that was a good wake up call. Another thing that I realized is that CEOs are tragically, and I think this is true even at Moz, where we focus so much on transparency and communication. I found that people were not always being awesome to each other, and a few people in particular. Right. And because those few people in particular did a great job of managing up and did a great job of communicating to the people who were responsible for their career.
Right.
They looked like stars to those people, and then to the people below them, or tangentially related, they were treating them terribly.
Yeah.
And they had these reputations internally, right? You go out to drink as not the CEO with a few of your coworkers, and you hear stories. You hear stories that you never hear as CEO.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the old adage of, here's another one for you, Nate, is that if you're managing from the top, you see all smiles pointing up for you. If you're down below, all you see are asses. So there.
Yeah. I mean,
so there. I feel like that's what we see all the time.
You're talking about monkeys in a tree.
Monkeys in a tree, yes. That's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. I should have probably thrown that in there, too.
Maybe. I'm just saying.
Like, that wasn't an adage.
That was just a weird, awkward moment.
That was a weird, That's okay.
Nate's getting a
an
schooling.
analogy and an adage.
See?
But so I think that was definitely eye-opening. And then I'd say also that the clarity with which a CEO holds the vision and the mission and the tactics, that clarity seems crystal clear, right, to the CEO and maybe to folks on the executive team, but it is often murky as heck for the people, in the trenches. And that was another realization. The more time I spent and continue to spend with coworkers, right? They have this like, well, why are we doing this? And I kind of go, wait a minute.
Don't you see it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
exactly.
Why don't you get it? I get it. Why don't you get it?
It's clarity of expectation. Clarity of expectation. Be able to communicate that expectation. Those are key points from a CEO standpoint that you have to try to achieve. That's absolutely That's absolutely on point.
Yeah, and I think one of the funny things too is you just as not everybody in the classroom hears the teacher, right? When they're talking, and some people are like, "How did you do so well on the test?" Well, I just listened and paid attention in class. Or I just read it in the book, or whatever it is. That there are people who pick things up differently,
right,
at a company. And so if you as the CEO or your leadership team is not regularly communicating exactly the same thing over and over again through every possible channel, in person, through email, through any video, through presentations, through anything you say or do externally, through your blog posts,
right,
through chats in the hallway, right, through a random email at night. Whatever it is, a Slack conversation, all of those things have to be saying the same thing over and over for the message to get through. Because I think there's a weird, we all have this, but this bias to whatever's being said by leadership or by people in charge, there's a secret other story. Like there's something else going on that they're not telling me.
Right.
And that is, it's super compelling to believe that. I think that, especially Americans in particular, right? We have this incredibly high propensity for distrusting leadership and distrusting
everybody,
authority, and believing in conspiracy theories, right? Like at a way higher rate than the rest of the planet. So I think that cultural aspect carries into companies too.
Yep.
And you get this belief that like, well, sure, the CEO said this, but what she really means is probably, there's this other thing going on.